waited while America bled. The country divided by bigotry and hate. Shoot down at Jackson for a 10th state. The Vietnam War was bloody and long. How in the hell did the country go wrong?
I'm gov.avi. I'm Dr. Rush. Today is a good day. And hello, my relatives. Chief Joseph was a great man of the Ne Perce, the Nez Perce people. He said and made a very profound statement, which I'm going to read right now. Let me be a free man, free to travel, free to stop, free to trade where I choose, free to choose my own teachers, free to follow the religion of my fathers, free to talk, think, and act for myself, and I will obey every law or submit to the penalty. Very profound. It's every person's wish. It's every person's desire. But how would you like to be concentrated in a land where you don't have any rights? American Indian policy. You know that today, you should know that today, when we live on an Indian reservation, we are no longer U.S. citizens because we're sovereign. Very convenient for the United States. We have to submit to all the laws of the United States and some extra ones that pertain only to Indian people on a reservation. This is America, but we don't have any protections of the U.S. Constitution or any Constitution. No protections whatsoever. None. So how would you like to live in a land like that? Well, lo and behold, increment by increment, because of your own U.S. citizen or lack of U.S. citizenship, you've allowed your country to implement Indian law in the United States of America. The American government, since the inception and inauguration of the Bureau of Indian Affairs in 1824, has been busy practicing and perfecting its policies on us, and then exporting it to the world and bringing it back home to roost on the backs of the American people. What are these? Let's look at this great country of yours. Let's look. What about education? I grew up in America that at the time was completely controlled and dominated by the white male. You know, he knew how his wife was going to vote because he ordered it. He had control. The blacks were segregated. The Indians were segregated. The Mexicans were in Mexico. And if they weren't, they were slave laborers for the agricultural growers of America. I know I used to be one when I was a Mexican. I was a teenager. Nevertheless, education. I grew up in that part of America, that in Northern California, when it was number one in education in the United States. And the United States of America was number 1 in the world in education. So I was a beneficiary of the finest school system in the world, Northern California. And why was it? Because we had local control. Local control. I remember my mother, when I was in grade school, taking me to PTA, Parent Teachers Association meetings. The parents then had input into the budget of the school and the curriculum. And because of that, they participated in the school. The parents I'm talking about. What this means is they transferred Indian education. You see, they had us in boarding schools, federal boarding schools, Bureau of Indian Affairs boarding school, or church boarding schools. The point being, though, they had control. The federal government had control of our education. Excuse me. Excuse me again. What that means is they could brainwash us, force us to follow a certain curriculum, or we don't pass. Voila. It's American education. The federal government has taken over education. And now, the latest statistics that I've researched and found out is that the United States of America is ranked 17th in the world in education. California, where I grew up, is now ranked 43rd in the nation in education. Health, or lack thereof, completely, with this latest health bill, it feeds right into exactly what they've been doing to us. You think you get health, and you don't, under the federal auspices of the federal government. The health system of America, or lack thereof, is taken strictly from the reservation. Examine both systems, and you'll find it out. That's your responsibility. I've already done it, because I live it. The other thing is, education, health. What about the land policies? I live in a rural area and I travel and drive through the country. You have to in rural America. You do a lot of driving. And what you see are abandoned farms. Not abandoned lands, but abandoned farms. Family farms. Land policies enacted on the reservation have been transferred to the family farmer and the family rancher. They can no longer exist. They have to get bigger and bigger and bigger. They're all corporations. Now, they're not ranches and farms. You go out here on the prairies and it's vast stretches of land. You don't see a living thing except for some rabbits, skunks, raccoons, and occasionally you'll see a cow. You'll see deer and antelope. More often than you'll see a cow. Because now they've got all the cows concentrated in a feedlot, and it's filthy. Pigs, chickens, turkeys, it's all centralized. Nothing's out on the land anymore. Go buy a farmhouse today. You won't see clothes out on the lines. You won't see dogs or cats. You won't see chickens, pigs. It's barren because the farmer and his wife have to work for a living as well as farm. Or you'll see a ranch out there or a big farm out there with their own private airstrip because a corporation owns it. So the family farmer and the family rancher and the small miner, the ones who mine the land, they've all been excised out by the federal government policies. And you know this. But what you don't know is they practiced and perfected it on us first. And then exported it to the world now on the back. Now what about your rights? Why in the 1840s did your forebears allow the federal government to create a piece of paper that has the same rights as you? I'm talking about a corporation. In fact, they have more rights than you because they have more money. And they can't be put in jail. They have way more rights than you. There isn't any fear. Now, what about the 1871s when they started taking the banking system away from you and from the control of the taxpayers? And then they finalized in 1913, where they inaugurated also the theft of your wages. A partial theft. It's called taxes. And then slow but sure, the government got in bed with the corporations. And you know the result today. You're allowed not only your freedoms to be taken away and given to a corporation, piece of paper, but you've allowed first the Terrorist Act of 1996 under Clinton, which is the precursor to the Patriot Act, which has been renewed, and you allow it. You allow this. The first responsibility of being free is you are free to be responsible. You've heard me say that many times. Free to be responsible. What a concept, huh? Let's do it. Hope to see you again.